It happened in Great Britain. It happened in the UK. You had a bunch of people come in as immigrants, and then suddenly, I don't know, a decade later, maybe 2 decades later, you had a bunch of people who were either the offspring of or actual immigrants themselves as the mayors in some of the biggest cities in England and the surrounding areas. It looks like it's starting to happen here. Well, it's not just starting to happen here. By the way, it's Kay Smythe Hill. Go to kaysmythehill.com. See her on Newsmax all the time. She's amazing. News and commentary writer. Kay, how are you? Good to see you.
I'm good, Joe. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. I mean, we look like we're on the precipice of a guy from Uganda becoming a Muslim guy from Uganda who is a democratic socialist, which means he's a communist, who's probably going to be the mayor of the biggest city in this country. Not okay. Now, listen, I'd rather that they learn their lesson and maybe undo it for next time. I would also rather Andrew Cuomo drop out and maybe Curtis Lewa has a chance. But let's talk about what happened where you're from. I mean, if you look at the biggest cities in the country of England, just about all of them have a mayor who's a Muslim who is not from that area, a guy who has a very different outlook on life than Western civilization. How does that happen? Did it just slowly and gradually? I mean, why is that the case?
When I was growing up, we had a large Muslim population population in my hometown. I'm from a little town in Wales. But it didn't matter. Like, all of our schools, we still did school prayer.
Right.
Like, we would literally sit and sing the Lord's Prayer, Joe. And we're supposed to have like full separation, like actual separation of church and state in the UK. It just didn't happen because everyone was raised on sort of fundamentally Christian values.
Right.
So the only way I think that this has happened, this sort of rapid growth in Islamic leadership, in political positions, is because most British people are completely detached from politics. They don't know when their local elections are. They don't care. So long as they get their dole money, so long as they can go down to the pub on a Friday night and get their fish and chips. It's like that, the analogy of like you put a frog in a boiling pot of water and it'll jump right out. But if you put the frog in, turn it on, and it'll gradually boil itself to death. That is the white British mentality towards pretty much everything bad for them. Whereas even though, like, I have a lot of Islamic friends back in the UK, they all hate me because I'm pro-Trump. But I don't really care. I still love them because I'm a Christian.
Yes.
But they actually do community really well. And you need community in order to be successful at politicking. And so I think that's probably why I think Muslims are just better at turning out the vote. I think that all the mums drag their 18-year-old kids down to the polls. I think all of the dads beat it into their sons. Like, you have to go and vote for this guy because he shares our values. Whereas in the UK, they don't even know who's running. They don't care. Like, amongst the white population, like the Christian population, they don't care. We're kind of lucky in my hometown. We had I'm not sure if he's still the mayor. Obviously, I haven't been there in a long time, but he was fantastic. If there was a broken bus stop, he would be the guy down there on a Saturday in his overalls fixing the bus stop.
Right.
So he kept getting reelected. But I wouldn't be surprised if he gets replaced at some point soon because we still have this massive emerging Islamic population. It's not exactly slowing down with all the boats arriving. Yeah. I don't think we have secure elections in the UK because if they still run the way that they did when I lived there, it is a joke. You can stuff those ballot boxes like they're going out of fashion. So I think it's partly just normalized ignorance amongst people who look like me and you. But I think it's also coupled with just an incredible power of a community within Muslim populations. And that's all it takes to win elections.
Let me say this, because I've been very clear about this every time Islam comes up. There are very peaceful Muslims. I'm not saying it as a disclaimer. And I'm not against somebody being a Muslim and being a mayor if he or she understands the Constitution is the supreme law here and not Sharia law, not something that the Quran says. If you can go in there and acclimate to this community. But we got people in places like Dearborn, where the mayor of Dearborn, who's a Muslim, is talking about, the call to prayer 5 times a day in open air in the United States of America. It doesn't make any sense. He's also yelling at other residents about, I can't wait for you to leave Dearborn because we will do a parade in the streets to get you out of Dearborn, because the guy was concerned about the overflow of immigrants into town. You got a guy in Minneapolis who probably will be the next mayor who's like from Somalia. And when you see him out there waving the Somalian flag as he's running for mayor of a great United States city, I've got a problem with that. So this guy Mamdani in New York, he is clearly just being a chameleon. He's saying anything anybody wants to hear to try to get himself elected. But the reality is, he's somebody who appears to be pro-Hamas. He wouldn't say they should even disarm or quit. He's a guy who is pretending he's for LGBTQ XYZ 1, 2, 3. He's not. He's a staunch Muslim, and that doesn't align with their beliefs. And he's also a guy that will say, I'll give you free food, I'll give you free housing, I'll give you free busing, free transportation, just vote for me. And then once you get in, and he's got a long track record of being this democratic socialist, this communist guy who has a Muslim upbringing in Uganda, once he gets in, he probably will do what you're talking about. It won't just be the guy who's filling the potholes and trying to do what's good for the community. He's going to be a guy that is going to be there and think my religion first, or my way of life first, or we have to change this big city and get away from capitalism first. And that's a really bad thing for this country.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the end of New York City, or at least a temporary end to the city. Like, this is a city that's already been like close to run into the ground thanks to Eric Adams and his, he's just, look, Eric Adams, to me, the first time I ever heard him speak before he even won his election, I was like, this guy doesn't care about politics. He cares about being famous. He cares about hanging out with other famous people. Like, he's not a politician. He's just not good enough to get famous anywhere else. And like, a lot of people like Eric Adams. Great for you. I don't like the fact that I used to be able to go to New York City before he got into power and feel safe when I go on the subway and walk down the streets. And I can't now. You think that's going to get any better under Mamdani, who, like you said, is a massively compulsively lying hypocrite, who even SNL, they did an opening monologue skit this weekend, I think it was, where they said, like, I can't remember the name of the guy who was doing the bit being Mamdani, but it was like, I'm going to promise all of this amazing stuff. Can I deliver on it? No, but I'm going to smile after I say everything, so you think that I can. Or like words to that effect. Yeah. And like, that's who this guy is. He's creepy, and he's classically aligned with pretty much every major wannabe famous Democrat out there, who, in my opinion, is the definition of an abusive relationship. Because they're going to lie to you, they're going to hurt you, and then they're going to blame you for the problems that they have allowed to happen to you. Like, this is a person who wants to be in power, probably for no real other reason other than the fact he's not qualified to do an actual job. Right. Like, what is he qualified to do? He, like you said, he comes from an incredibly wealthy family, but he lives in like rent-controlled housing. Right. He claims to be a democratic socialist. The man had 3 weddings on 3 different continents, I'm pretty sure. If it's not 3 different continents, he still had 3 different weddings. He makes up family members to sell some sob story and to like promote this victim complex. And then when he gets called out, he's just like, okay, well, no, like it still happened. It was just like a turn of phrase. It's just like, humble yourself, admit that you can't do any of the stuff that you're promising to do. Don't run on a lie, because in the long term, Joe, here's what's going to happen. In the long term, you think New York is bad for Muslims now, and I'm talking in the wake of 9/11 right now. Right. We've had 24 years since that horrific terror attack, and now we're going to see a Muslim get elected who is going to drive that place into the ground. Do you think Muslims are going to get elected like anywhere else other than by stupid people who believe that socialism is a real thing when it's not? It's communism. By the way, they call themselves democratic socialists because they legally can't run for office as communists. So that's just like a turn of phrase. Like,
and democratic socialism doesn't literally mean anything.
It literally doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. Right.
It literally just means.
But you say it like, well, I like it because the word democratic is in there too. It is Kay Hill. Go to Kay Smythe Hill. Go follow her everywhere on all the social media. See her on Newsmax as well. Bottom line for me is when we started seeing the guy in Scotland who was Pakistani or something, and who was some leader of something. He might have been the leader of everything. I don't know. But he was in their parliament or in their Congress, whatever the hell they call it in Scotland, and going on and on and on, complaining about how people in jobs in government were white. The labor leader, white. The garbage man, white. The dog catcher, white. And he's like really mad that more people weren't brown or Muslim or something in freaking Scotland. Where like if somebody in Scotland walks outside, their face turns bright red. These are the whitest people on the planet Earth, and this guy was mad that there weren't more brown people. It wasn't okay that he was already in a power position and he was somebody who did not look like the rest of the Scottish people. No, he wanted everybody in government to represent everybody who looks like him. And that, Kay, is what I see happening in New York, in Minneapolis, in Dearborn. And is it really voter apathy, or as you say, voter ignorance? Is that really what's going on?
I think it's more actually just like the galvanization of those communities. Like it's classic kind of, it's actually completely out of the Stalin playbook. You flood a community or you flood a country with people who aren't from there, and it creates complete cultural and political chaos. And then you can install whoever you actually want in power within that chaos by just leveraging that slight majority of the vote. Dearborn terrifies me. Like if that is allowed to come to fruition, I don't know where that goes. And I've spent time in Muslim countries and I've woken up to the call to prayer. It's not as harsh and in your face as I think a lot of people think it is. It's actually like kind of weirdly peaceful in some ways. I know that sounds really strange, but like I spent too much time in Morocco around it. You do literally tune it out. I also grew up a place where every 15 minutes we had church bells, which is great and nice, but after a while, like especially when they're right outside your front door, like it's exhausting. Any kind of loud noise like that is a nightmare. But I'm sorry, this country was founded on Christian values.
Yes.
The church bells belong. Like the call to prayer doesn't belong. Like just because you've got like a portion of the population that follow that, if you're going to push that somewhere like Dearborn, you have to bring in the church bells too. You don't get to have one or the other.
Well, I think you do. I'm going to argue with you.
I was going to say, you get the church bell.
The other. Yeah, the church bells you get in a Judeo-Christian society. You don't have the call to prayer because that's literally pushing one ideology, one religion, and that does violate, if there is a separation of church and state, that violates all of those things that we thought that we held dear. At the end of the day, if you're a Muslim, you got to pray 5 times a day. I'm with you. God bless you. Go do it. You should be able to remember when you're supposed to pray. This is not about reminding people to pray. This is about saying this is our city, and we own it now. And it's the same thing because you don't have to have 10,000 Muslims stop the London Bridge and pray. You don't have to have people stop the aisle on the plane and get on their hands and knees and pray. I mean, by the religion, you could actually make the prayer up later. And it doesn't say you have to join forces massively and shut down a roadway and get on your hands and knees and pray to Mecca. That's just not true. They're doing it to show power and to show strength. And I think that what you said earlier really does resonate with me, that people are either ignorant or there's something else going on. I think they're afraid to be called Islamophobic, and that's just dumb. It just is. It doesn't show a fear of Islam, and Islam is certainly allowed to be in this country because we have the freedom to pray, to worship however we see fit. You don't have the right for your religion to change the laws. You don't have the right for your religion to change the civilization, the community, as you were saying earlier. You don't have that right. Pray to anything you want to pray. I will support your ability to do that. When you shut the road down that I'm trying to drive down, that's a problem for me. When you shut down the bridge, that's a problem. When you scare everybody on the plane, that's a problem. I think that's the line that we're crossing here.
Yeah, and we're crossing it for what reason? That's the other part I can't understand. Like you said, it's like these people want to show up and say, hey, I'm here, get used to it. That guy, I think it's, like somewhere in like Scottish Parliament. I mean, I did see the video, but it was one of those where I was just like, this guy's an idiot. He's also a massive racist. Like, can you imagine, Joe, if you or I showed up in Congress or like the Houses of Parliament and we're just like, oh, I'm so sick of there being like Asian people here and Black people here and Middle Eastern people here.
Could be a problem,
like, we would be shot. Like, that's what would happen next.
Right. And the thing that jumps out at me is this guy does it, and he's literally in the position. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You're brown, you're Pakistani, you actually have a role in the government of friggin' Scotland. I mean, am I missing? Why do you have that podium? Why do you have that microphone? Why do you have that ability to speak to Parliament? Oh, because you're in it. It's not like I can understand if there never was anybody who was darker shade than a piece of paper in Parliament. Maybe you can talk about it a little bit. The guy was literally in a leadership position complaining that there weren't more people like him. That's what blows my mind.
Well, this because like these people like they have like such a victim complex. It's the same as, like when these women stand up and they work full time, they work like 2 jobs and they stand up and they say like, I want my rights back. It's like, you have all of the rights. Like, shut up, girl. Like, you're embarrassing yourself. Go get a better haircut. Like it's just one of those. It's like they always have terrible haircuts, Joe. Let's be honest with you. Like, you saw my hair, what I was like when I was a liberal. Actually, I've always had great hair. I'm just gonna
whoa,
congratulate myself on that. But my hairstylist is also my longest and closest friend.
Well, then you're lucky.
I'm very lucky.
No, you're right. Their hair is always screwed. They're always very, very weird looking. They've got piercings all over their face, and they're complaining about, why are you looking at me and singling me out? Because you look like that. It's Kay Smythe Hill. Go to kaysmythehill.com. Follow her everywhere. I'm almost out of time, Kay, but I do want you to give me a little something. And this is completely off the beaten path, but I found this very interesting. Gen Z, this generation now that's going to work, they're not applying for jobs like I did. They're doing it like on Reddit. What is this?
Oh, yeah. Like, people are getting more jobs through social media and like consistent jobs, not working for social media, like getting, influencer gigs, getting like paid to post. Like, they're actually finding people to work for. I mean, to be honest with you, that's how I got my old job at Daily Caller. I'm pretty sure it was someone in the industry, and it's going to bug me until I've got prego brain, introduced me to Henry Rogers, who was also at Daily Caller at that point before he went over to Meta. Okay. And we just, spun that, texted back and forth posted back and forth on socials. And before you know it, I've got like one of the best jobs I've ever had in my career. It was so great. Back when sort of news media in that field was, I was in the golden age. It was fantastic.
So if I were job hunting, I can't walk in like I used to when I was a kid and just knock on the door, fill out an application, hope to get the job. You got to do it online now for everything?
As industry by industry, everyone should go check out the Daily Hire to learn more. It's a platform my husband built for me. It was really nice.
Is it thedailyhire.com?
Dailyhire.com. Yeah.
Great name.
But yeah, no, if you really actually want to move up in your career, and like half the places online, Joe, will ask you to submit your follow count. That's the other crazy thing. If you want to go work for like a bunch of different news agencies, a bunch of different companies, they ask you how many followers you have now. How sad is that?
That is sad, but I would get the job because I've got a good following, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, you'd be made. Like, you don't have to worry about it.
I haven't applied for a job since 1981, so I'm not really sure how it works anymore. It is Kay Smythe Hill. Go to dailyhire.com. Is it The Daily Hire or Daily Hire?
The Daily Hire.
TheDailyHire.com. Go check out this new site that her husband made, and I think it's awesome. It's starting to take off. And Kay, we'll talk to you again very soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
All right, we're back after this. Stay right here.